Utah, a place like no other. From the red rocks of the high desert to the rugged snow-capped peaks, we hold a treasure not found anywhere else on Earth. Deep canyons, mountain meadows, and alpine basins tied together with spectacular lakes and rivers make Utah home to a diverse array of wildlife. For generations, sportsmen have passed down a rich heritage of hunting and fishing. As sportsmen, we have the responsibility to conserve and manage these precious resources. SFW was specifically created to promote conservation and protect our heritage and traditions. Between local banquets, the Western Hunting Conservation Expo, and members' generous donations of time and money, SFW has been able to donate over $9 million and countless volunteer hours to conservation projects throughout Utah. Last year alone, SFW was able to give back over $1 million to these projects.
The money that we raise stays here in Utah, and specifically we try to take the dollars that we raise within a certain region or a certain town or community and do good things for wildlife in those areas. I think that's really important. I think people connect with that, and it makes a big difference that they can see somewhat in their backyard.
The future is really looking great for all of SFW members because of the work we've been able to accomplish. That some of our greatest accomplishments in just the last couple of years are the Mule Deer Protection Act, which is basically a $50 coyote bounty to help our mule deer herds. Coyotes historically are accountable for taking over 70% of the fawns on any one mountain range, so you've got to have at least a 40% survival rate on your mule deer in order to maintain your herd, and you're never going to grow it unless you get above that 40%. So unless you take out the predators that are taking the deer, you're never going to grow your deer herds. This $500,000 that's going to the bounty program right now, plus an additional over $600,000 aerial gunning, is going to help reduce the coyote population statewide and hopefully going to increase our mule deer herds.
The thing about SFW that I'm proud of, and I think a lot of our members are proud of, is that we do a lot for wildlife, but we also do a lot for people. I'm proud of the fact that we stretch not just our passion for hunting and for wildlife and for fishing, but we stretch that beyond and try to touch the hearts of people that will make a difference in their lives. Kevin and Mike Pritchett had a great idea to get some kids that were less than capable, I guess, of going out and catching fish on their own. And a lot of these kids are in wheelchairs or have some physical disabilities, some mental disabilities. If this doesn't make you feel good and feel warm inside to help others, I don't know what would. This is just a great project. The DWR provides the fish, we provide a lot of the volunteers. Something that we did this year is we were able to build a ramp with a lot of partners that we could place wheelchairs on this pond.
We just did this wall here that you can see in the background. We wanted to improve the quality of the fishery and be able to get the children up here in their wheelchairs safely and adequate.
But we have so many wonderful volunteers that just help out and donate their time and their money, their equipment, their people to come in and do this kind of work. The total dollar value is probably well in excess of $100,000, all the people that contributed.
Oh, I got one.
Oh. Keep reeling.
Okay.
Is it fighting hard?
Yep.
Whoa! Look at that fish!
Holy cow!
Look at that!
Holy!
This is where truly a community came together to do a great project for a bunch of kids, to put a bunch of smiles on their face. And we're proud to be part of that project.
One of our main goals in SFW is to continue the tradition of hunting and fishing for families, and we put a lot of emphasis into that because our youth are the whole next generation of conservationists that we're training right now to come out and protect what we've been trying to protect for them for the last 50 years.
Yeah!
It's critical that we get these young conservationists involved at an early age into conservation, get them out hunting, get them out fishing, and get them out working on projects.
We had Sportsmen for Fish and Wildlife contact Lynn Zubek, who is the manager here at the Pavant Upland Game Management Area, and just had a desire to come up with some ways that we could get the youth involved in pheasant hunting, and it's kind of their brainchild to get together and to purchase some birds and bring them out here and provide a youth pheasant hunt and just give the youth an opportunity to come out and shoot some birds.
And despite the weather,
We had children travel from St. George and also Logan to participate in it. It was a great day. A lot of them killed their first rooster. For years and years, our pheasants have been a thing of the past, and so these committees have put their heads together and thought, hey, why don't we put some funding towards restoring wild populations of ringnecks pheasants. So we were able to purchase 3,000 Manchurian ringnecks. The majority of these will be hens. Our hope is to augment wild populations and encourage them to come back on their own through natural reproduction. This project will cost us about $30,000 to $35,000. SFW fronted the money, but these chapters are committed to continue to raise money to make sure that these projects continue in the future.
We're members in every county of the state, and we pay attention to what our members tell us and what they need in their backyard to fix their wildlife. Our Davis Weaver chapter, the project they came up with this past year is they wanted to help the Division of Wildlife Resources acquire an elk decoy.
Law enforcement is a very vital component of conservation and wildlife management. Conservation officers in the state, in Utah here, roughly cover 1,600 square miles apiece. Poaching is a very difficult thing to learn about and to apprehend. And a decoy allows the violator, the resource, and the officer to be at the same place at the same time. I had the idea if we could come up with the funds, we could really put it to use in our region. I talked to our administrators and they said, you know, we could pony up a little bit, but I was still way shy. However, I asked one of our officers, he was going to go to a Sportsman Fish and Wildlife banquet, and I told him, hey, why don't you talk to Sportsman Fish and Wildlife, see if they would consider helping us out, partially funding an elk decoy. I think at that time I asked him for, you know, maybe half the funds, and actually, no, we'll do it. We'll do all of it. And I was really set back, and man, it really shows us that Sportsman Fish and Wildlife's really committed to the wildlife in this state, and not only wildlife, but supportive of the Division of Wildlife and the Division of Wildlife Law Enforcement section. So we're very grateful. We couldn't have done this without them. These are all bullet holes right here. If this would have been a real elk, I mean, that's potentially 4 illegally killed animals. You know, I believe by the use of this decoy, it's preventing the take of illegal animals.
Our local chapter down in the Carbon-Emery area contacted us looking for some funding to help with tiger muskies to be put in Joes Valley Reservoir. And that local chapter actually raised some local dollars at their banquet and presented a check to the Division of Wildlife to help with that project. 20,000 tiger muskies were able to be released in about 3 different lakes. And we'd just like to thank the Division of Wildlife for allowing us the opportunity to be there on this project and to help fund part of it. And for our guys locally that really brought this project to our attention that we could help fund.
In the spring of 2013, we got a big project coming on down in Kane County on Highway 89 as we're headed towards Page. There's a stretch of highway there that the deer cross that a lot of them get killed as they cross and hit by motor vehicles. Through the Friends of the Ponscont and Sportsman Fish and Wildlife, we've been able to work with county commissioners and state and local and federal levels to go back in and actually create a high fence and some underpasses to help these deer cross safely.
It's 10 miles stretch with mile marker 41 in the middle of it. There'll be an underpass every 2 miles for the deer to migrate through. The high fence keeps them from going on the highway, and to get across to do their normal migration, they've got to find these corridors that go underneath the highway.
And we appreciate all those involved, and we really believe that this high fence and these underpasses will be a huge benefit to making sure that herd stays stable and keep it what it is.
I'm involved with SFW because it's a Utah organization. The money stays inside of Utah. I've never been turned down asking for funds on projects.
We're here on the Parowan front capturing 50 deer and moving them up to Millard County there at Holden.
We started with this project a couple of years ago. We come out on some range rides. We went out and assessed the range with the biologists, and they've got a lot of damage up here. And so we started trying to decide what we were going to do with these deer to remove them so that we could rebuild the range. And the first thing they wanted to do is just shoot them. And we said, well, we'd like to do something different. And it's taken a couple of years, but we've got to this point. We're going to try to transplant these into another area, you know, we haven't got a lot of deer, and we can help their situation up there and relieve a little pressure here so we can come back in and build this range back up. And hopefully it's going to be a win-win for all of us.
Today we're capturing 50 does off the Parowan front. This is an effort to try and alleviate some of the pressure that's on the winter range here due to the poor quality of it and the number of deer here. And rather than issue late doe tags, SFW has stepped up and committed to fund the translocation of these deer to see if we can bring transplanting deer back into the Utah management plan. But the key thing is these deer come in, we're putting them a radio collar on them and then checking their overall health, and we'll transplant them from the Parowan front up to the Holden wildlife management area, release them.
We're looking at the health of the deer as they're brought in. We're using an ultrasound to determine rump fat and pregnancy status to make sure that they're all healthy. And then we give them shots, wormers and antibiotics and things like that to make sure that they're healthy as we release them.
If this works, if we can get these deer that we transport and they survive, then we can do this all over the state. So rather than killing the deer, we're capturing them in troubled areas, nuisance areas, and we're moving them to areas that are low in population and need the deer.
I'm Randy Larson. I'm an assistant professor at BYU. Happy to be involved with this research project thanks to SFW. Our primary responsibilities will be the post-release monitoring, and that's our involvement. We're thrilled. We've got a graduate student, Dave Smedley, who will be monitoring twice a week during the initial few months, and then at least weekly for the next 2 years.
We obviously have a big hill to climb with our mule deer here in the state. Today is one of those days where we're transplanting deer that we haven't done in 25 years in the state to try to see if the technology and some of the things that we're doing today will give them a better chance of survival through a transplant. If that holds true, I think we can all be excited of the fact that we'll see some more deer transplants in some other areas where we can take deer that are overpopulated and doing habitat damage in some areas and move them to areas where deer are struggling.
It gives a guy a good feeling to be a part of something like this. You're out helping wildlife, and that's what Sportsmen for Fish and Wildlife's all about.
We recently completed a sign project down in San Juan County. There's a stretch of highway that ranges from Monticello to Blanding, about 21 miles, that over the last 2 years they've tracked and picked up over 1,100 deer that have been killed there. We know it's not the overall fix, but we funded some signs to the tune of about $13,000 just to help motorists be aware of the deer as they're migrating across that and to slow down and pay attention.
One of the great things that we've been able to accomplish at SFW is 1 million acres of habitat work has been done in the state of Utah, and we kind of led the way back in the beginning to get that kind of initiative off the ground. Some great things have been done there, chainings and seed work. Brush hogs have gone out and done just literally hundreds of thousands of acres that will take old decadent habitat and turn it into new habitat, regenerated habitat. But the 1 million acres that have been done in Utah for habitat work is just something that everybody can be proud of, because I think we're going to see some big things here in the next 5 years.
We have a lot of great members all over the state that participate and help raise money, and we just feel like we're making a difference, and that's what I like to be part of, a winning team.
You have to invest to make the future a brighter place to hunt and fish.